Hello all my friends, welcome back to the Branscome YouTube channel. I am Nick Branscome and today we are going to do episode 3 of Branscome's Burning Takes. Now as you may can see, I'm in a new room. I've recently moved into a rental house with my fiance, and so I had to have, my little studio in here. So I've put some records on the wall and some posters and got my guitars and everything in here set up, ready to go. Maybe I'll do a little small mini tour of the room in a different videos. Not the biggest room in the world, but I got a lot of cool posters and stuff that's not on camera, so maybe I could show that. But anyways, so today, like I said, is Branscome's Burning Takes episode 3, and today's topic is music. Alright, so let's get right into it. So there's all this talk all the time about Kirk Hammett using his wah pedal all the time, being very generic, being very sloppy, and same thing with Lars Ulrich, talking about Lars being very sloppy and just kind of being lazy about his drumming and stuff like that. Some of this I agree with and some of this I don't. I think throughout the duration of the 80s, I actually felt that Lars's drumming was actually pretty good. I felt it was unique. I felt a lot of his rhythms and his grooves were, not of the normal sense where like a normal 4/4 timing sort of deal. He did a lot of almost kind of backwards rhythm stuff that I actually felt was really cool. But as the years went on, yes, I do feel like he started to get a little lazy and just not practicing very much and stuff like that. But when you start making millions of dollars and everything, that probably tends to happen sometimes. But now with Kirk Hammett, I feel like it's kind of the same deal, but I felt like that Kirk Hammett is slightly overrated. Beyond the first 2, maybe 3 Metallica records, I don't care for his playing very much, especially on the Black Album. I mean, and I understand, that album made them superstars in the mainstream and everything, so you can't argue with their success, but I just felt like the solos on Black Album were so boringly generic. I would rather listen to the solos on the first 3 records, especially his solos on the first record on Kill 'Em All. I actually felt like Kill 'Em All had some really, really cool solos on it. But as the years progressed, I just felt like he just got way too generic, and he's also, he's become a little sloppy too. But hey, he plays Greenie now, so, that's cool, I guess. So, Lars Ulrich, 80s Lars Ulrich, underrated. Kirk Hammett, a little overrated beyond the first 3 Metallica records. Alright, and so for number 2 here, I've got the Smashing Pumpkins, annoying. And I'm mostly talking about Billy Corgan's voice. I don't get it. I've always found it so excruciating to listen to. People treat Smashing Pumpkins and Billy Corgan like he's this songwriting genius, and I'm just like, I don't see the appeal. It gets on my nerves. Just the way he sings, I don't find it exciting. I find it boring, and I just don't think the songs have any hooks or catchiness to them, in my opinion. But people love them, and more power to you. But me, I can't do the Smashing Pumpkins. I'm sorry. All right, and number 3, shock value somehow still exists in music. Recently at the Grammys, artist Sam Smith did some performance where he was dressed up in a devilish outfit and had satanic looking dancers around him and looking like they're doing a ritual or something. I didn't even pay it any mind, but people started sharing it and talking about it, and I went and I came across the performance, so I sat and watched it, and I was just like, Kiss and Alice Cooper were doing that in the 70s. Motley Crue was doing it in the 80s, Wasp was doing it in the 80s. It's called shock value, people. These artists are not worshiping Satan or doing any of this stuff on stage. They're doing it to get you to talk about it, which is exactly what Sam Smith did with his performance. It's exactly what Lil Nas did a few years ago when he had that one music video that was supposedly satanic, and he put his blood in the Nike shoes and all that. It's not that these people are worshiping Satan. It's that they're trying to get a rise out of the people that think that kind of material is satanic and bad for viewers and stuff like that. So, but it's just amazing to me that artists were doing this back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, and and then the PMRC came along in the 80s, and and stuff like that, making parents mad and upset and everything. And it still exists. People still fall for it today. I mean, and even in the 90s, you had Marilyn Manson and, Slipknot come out and stuff like that. But it's just hard for me to believe that people still fall for the shock value thing today. All right, and number 4, concert tickets are so expensive because nobody pays for music anymore. You remember back in the 70s, I mean, I don't remember, but back in the 70s and 60s and before that, you would pay for music. You'd pay for a record, or you'd pay for an 8-track, or getting into the 80s, you started paying for CDs and cassettes and everything. You purchased music on a physical item and played it on a turntable or a radio set or something like that. Back then, concert tickets weren't all that expensive. I remember people have told me that they saw Kiss or Van Halen, back in the 70s, good seats for like $10, $12, something like that. Now, getting front row to anything, you're looking to pay at least $1,000, but more than likely more. But I genuinely believe that the reason that is the case now, I mean, I guess you have to take inflation into account too from 70s to now. But also too, people don't pay for music anymore. Streaming is the way that people consume their music now. So all music is free. There are some artists that still have a kind of a strict stand against streaming their music for free and not getting their royalties and stuff like that. But most artists just put their music out on Spotify and Amazon Music to be streamed for free. And because of that, they raise their concert ticket prices, which of course, like Live Nation and stuff has a lot to do with that too. But concert prices are still up because the artists need to be able to support themselves. And also too, merchandise is more expensive as well. These artists are out there trying to make a living, so that's what they got to do. They got to raise their concert ticket prices, or they have to raise their merchandise prices in order to make ends meet and all that, in order to be able to pay off the debt that they have for these massive tours that they go on, and to the whatever record company they may be signed to. They might be in debt to a record company, and so they have to pay them off, etc. So that's just the way the music industry is now. I don't want to put any blame to anybody, but I think as a whole, pretty much kind of we let it happened. I mean, but we also kind of let it happen too. We saw free music and we were like, oh, okay, cool, free music. But then, concerts now cost a really, really big dollar to go see. And last but not least, I genuinely think that rock music could make a comeback. I think one of the reasons rock isn't so as popular these days, there's a lot of good rock bands out there, but they're not getting played on mainstream radio anymore. Mainstream radio pretty much only panders to country music and pop music. Now, I don't know like the full history of radio. I have heard that there were a lot of rock bands, at least around here where I live in North Carolina back in the day, they didn't play rock bands on a lot of radio around here either, but I would think, especially in the 80s with rock music being the biggest thing in the world, I would think that they played a lot of rock music on pop radio. And I remember even when I was a kid in the early 2000s, you would hear like Three Doors Down and Nickelback and bands like that on the radio still. But anymore, you don't hear any rock music, and it's just not getting to the mainstream. A lot of big rock bands are still almost considered underground, which can be a good thing. But if, we want rock to be kind of back on the Billboard charts, it needs to be played on mainstream radio again, or that's at least what I believe. And then you would see a shift again. You would see rock become more popular. But unfortunately, I don't think mainstream radio's really got much interest in playing new rock bands. If you ever hear a rock song on pop radio, it's like a classic rock song, basically, something by Three Doors Down or Nickelback, as those bands are considered classic rock now. But so that's how I feel like rock can make a comeback. Whether or not it's going to actually happen, I don't know. All right, y'all, so there you have it. There was episode 3 of Branscome's Burning Takes. If you would like to get a shout out on one of these episodes, feel free to comment your suggestions for new topics in the comments section. Be sure to comment how you felt about this video and hit that like button and subscribe button. Let's get that algorithm up. I really hope you guys are enjoying this content, and I thank you for all the support. I will see you guys at the next video. Y'all take care.